Hello, everybody. Welcome to the WikiHouse event for this October. I'm Gabriele Granello, WikiHouse engineering lead. And today we have a special guest that is going to give us a presentation. Is Matthew from Best Built Environment Smarter Transformation, who is going to talk about the work that Best is doing in the UK and also internationally. It was quite interesting to hear about how Matthew has come across WikiHouse more than 10 years ago and his interest about that. And yeah, we will hear more from him. Also, just to remember you, Best is a WikiHouse official manufacturer. So for any of you that are interested in building a WikiHouse in the UK and in Scotland, they can work with, they can engage Best for the manufacturing side. And Matthew also has a special invitation for us, because there's going to be the Bestfest next week in Glasgow, where actually we are we're going to go there as a WikiHouse as well. There's going to be the opportunity to build a little structure that is currently being cut in Glasgow at the moment. So thank you very much for listening. And without any further delay, I'm going to leave you to Matthew.
Hi there. Welcome to today. My name is Matthew Payton. This is going to be a bit of an introduction to built environment smarter transformation and the work we're currently doing with WikiHouse and everything around about it that we're involved in. Built environment smarter transformation, or BEST for short, is part of the Innovation Centre family. So this is a Scottish Government initiative, a bit like the Catapult Centres across the UK. We're an innovation centre set up specifically to help the construction and built environment industry innovate and be creative with ideas, set new challenges, and create some interesting new projects. So there's one for each industry in Scotland. At the moment, there's data, there's medicine, there's aquaculture. Obviously, we are construction and built environment focused. That's sponsored by Scottish Government, Scottish Funding Council, Scottish Enterprise, the Highlands and Islands. So although we're Scottish based, it's worth saying that we do work regularly across the whole of the UK. We've worked very collaboratively and internationally as well. So we've got strong international ties. So we have a presence just outside Glasgow in Hamilton. We have a bit of a campus going. So we have two buildings over here. We call them the A and Z Lab. First of all, we have the A Lab. So that's the Accelerator Lab. It's over 35,000 square feet of dedicated innovation space. It's an incubation hub for micro and SME businesses to transition from startup to scale and focus on delivering maximum economic, social, and environmental impact. It is a national centre for excellence for deep retrofit in Scotland. What's our Z Lab? So this is our first building, although it's conversely named Z Lab. This was our first at the campus here, and it was the UK construction industry's first dedicated digital manufacturing, prototyping, and future skills centre of excellence. Since we set up, we've helped establish and contribute to Construction Innovation Wales Centre and Ireland, and across England as well, a couple of different innovation centres on the same model. So the Z Lab is a zero carbon living lab, providing clients, industry, and academia with a safe space to collaborate, innovate, prototype, test, and train. And it is a unique Scottish asset connected to a network of regional, national, and international partner organisations. So who are we? BEST is an international centre of excellence for zero carbon and built environment transformation. Our vision is to build a better built environment that delivers inclusive and sustainable economic, social, and environmental impact. How we do this, we enable the connections, infrastructure, culture needed to tackle the built environment's most pressing challenges, to accelerate the built environment's transition to zero carbon. So where do we fit in the innovation landscape? We sit in this trifecta here of industry, public sector, and academia. So we typically sit on the entry side of a project, bringing in the academic expertise. So if an entry client comes to us with a new idea, we'll link them up with the world-leading experts in that field, and possibly other industry partners working in the same field, and many public sector organisations as well that we work with regularly to create constructive, collaborative innovation projects. So we're delivering impact through innovation, research and development, service and system design, knowledge exchange, and commercialization. So we don't really have a product per se here, and all of our innovation projects are different. So it could be a new product, it could be a new service we're developing, it could be software, it could be bioengineering, it could be heavy civil engineering, it could be building a whole house, or it could be building a new bracket. We are pretty much in between all of those and can help in many, many different ways. This is the kind of stats page, and this is back in March, so I think we're probably well ahead of this one at the moment. So this is after about 8 or 9 years where we are at the moment, so it's considerable return on investment from the Scottish Government. We are monitored on how many jobs we create in the industry, how many companies are set up, added revenue to the industry. So we are not looking to make any money here. What we're trying to do is enhance and bring everyone collectively up in the industry together. And that's what we find with some of these figures here, quite successful. So we support projects and clients and partners through our 4 thematic themes. They're digital, modern methods of construction, retrofit, and sustainability. So each of these 4 themes has its own group and its own innovation managers, and these really help us to dive into projects. We have unique specialisms in each, and we have pools of academic researchers that we can reach out to and create interesting perspectives. We do cut across all these projects, so it's very rare that we'll have one in isolation. Particularly strong digital MMC, as you can imagine, retrofit, MSc, and digital and sustainability obviously is kind of underpins almost everything we do. Underpinning also is a behaviour and cultural change. So we are all about bringing everyone up together. So we're trying to see, my own focus is in the digital team is about digital transformation. It's about inclusive workforces. It's about the future of technology and the future of building sites. And all of this is working out what people do best just now and where the future of construction is at the same time. Underpinning as well is our zero carbon skills and competencies. So we do have a very, very strong skills and training program. Everything we do is also focused on zero carbon and the government's targets for zero carbon at the moment. So of another very, very strong point we have here at Best is our connected ecosystem. It's probably not unfair to say that anyone working in the construction industry that's innovating at the moment, we're probably tied in some way. Not to say that we are involved in their projects, but we're talking to them, we're inviting them to things, we are collaborating on a whole bunch of different fronts. And yes, usually as people approach us, we can tie them into 3 or 4 other people who are also interested in those. We're very much interested in creating larger collaborative projects to increase the impact. So it's very rare that we'll do something in isolation for the benefit of one individual. We try and spread that across everyone and try and get everyone involved to bring the whole industry together. With that in mind, this is a bit of a plug here as well. We've got our Bestfest 23 Summit. So this is a yearly event that we're running here at Best. It's actually next week, so there's not very much time to make your way to Glasgow, make your way up to Scotland. But please do, if you're interested in the area, come along. So it is on Wednesday, the 1st of November, and the second day actually on the 2nd of November as well. Very, very exciting list of guests. There's workshops, there's speakers. I think numbers are set about 700 attendees at the moment, and we have about 60 different exhibitors and demonstrators as well as the individual workshops. So please come along if you can and spread that community atmosphere. Where do we sit in the grand scheme at the moment? A big factor, as well as helping individual innovation projects, is influencing policies and ideas and the direction of innovation and the built environment. So we sit across all these directorates in the government and governmental department teams and public sector bodies. Nice graphics there. This is the same as those graphics before, but just broken down. So these are all individual Scottish Government areas which we're working in, or teams that we're working in. So we're definitely influencing that policy at a high level at the moment. We're also UN Centre of Excellence. So during COP26, we became the Centre for the Built Environment in Scotland, as we were hosting in Glasgow, visited by the UN, and bestowed upon us the Centre of Excellence, which was really good and further enhanced our wider European and international connections. We also sit quite strongly in the Scottish Construction Leadership Forum, and being an active partner both in working groups and at a higher level as well. Industry advocates is a big one. For us, we have innovation champions. So we have 70 members of a tight-knit community who are movers and shakers in the industry. These are influencers, and these are people we can call on for expertise, guidance, for project development, for idea sharing, generation, and a really resource that's cross-sectoral as well. So it covers all aspects that we can bring into exciting projects. And we have our built environment change makers. These are early careers professionals and younger people who are, again, very, very proactive in driving forth innovation, ideas, and connections across all aspects of the built environment. So it is a WikiHouse chat. So I've given you the background to Bess. So the background to WikiHouse and my connections to this. So this is me many moons ago in the red t-shirt there. This is circa about 2011. So I think WikiHouse has just launched. So this will be one of the very first versions of Wren as it was back there. So at that point, I was working in an open source maker studio, public studio. So we were making these interesting structures and teaching people and bringing the community into aspects of construction. And it wasn't called at that time, but modern methods construction. So this was my intro. We didn't go through the full house. We built this engaging internal structure with the resource. And this is one of the very first aspects that really grabbed my interest in not just WikiHouse, but manufacturing, micro manufacturing, localized production. I think this is probably what's inspired me to continue my love for WikiHouse throughout the whole of my career so far. Oh, this is jumping about a bit. You could maybe edit this and make it look a bit more seamless. So as we progressed, there's a couple of different versions of WikiHouse here. So I think that is a late stage wren in the background and a blackbird in the front. So this is at best at the moment. This was when it was called CSIC, you'll see that in the background. But we were involved with the WikiHouse, cutting these design files, doing a bit of structural testing with Edinburgh University, building them up and seeing how those all bits went together, checking the tolerances, checking the structural stability of the frame behind it. So again, this is something I've brought with me and been driving that forward internally at Best, just because I think it's a great project. I think WikiHouse is a fantastic concept, and I've not stopped preaching about it. This one then is an older version of Skylark that is currently under construction at Best. I think this one became outdated before it was finished. The versions moved on, so it's even more slick than this one just now. But again, it's shown the development that's gone through and all the work that the guys at the team developing it has gone through. It's fantastic. So at Best, we have been using WikiHouse and the WikiHouse system for quite a long time in our workshops, in our engagement activity. We have very heavy footfall through our facility here. So we work with school groups, we work with high school students, we work with secondary school students, we work with colleges, universities, we work with industry, we do engagement activities, workshopping, and this has been a great tool to both team build and get people thinking about how digitally constructed elements are put together. So for me, and my spiel and my pitch during this exercise is that it's a fantastic 3D designed piece of object, but it's still so simple in the fact that it goes together. We put this structure together and we don't screw it together, we don't glue it together. It all just assembles and then we take it back off. I don't give anyone any instructions. So WikiHouse does fantastic graphics and their IKEA style designs, but for this challenge, I don't give them any instructions, and they have to think outside the box to assemble a 3D element. We've incorporated this into our digital design and manufacturing course as well. So we take participants through design, and we use SketchUp. So we use the WikiHouse blocks and models for them to design their own house, design their own systems. We then take them into manufacturing our factory. So we use the CNC routers, we use the robotic arm for assembly. We then teach them, or we then bring them over and they build one themselves manually to get grips with the materiality of it. So it's been a fantastic resource and a fantastic teaching resource for us. So at Best, we teach WikiHouse, we teach the digital design, but we also do a whole bunch extra. So we've got the robotics lessons here at the back. So we're teaching, I've taught all the way down to probably about 5 and 6 year olds how to use that robotic arm, engaging them to tell them that construction is not just bricks in the mud. It's not standing in a rainy field putting blocks together. It can be exciting programming language. We also do advanced training as well. So this is air tightness, it's Pacif House training, it's in person. This is, I think that's college groups there and industry professionals up training and retraining. And materiality is a big one. So at the end of that, we have our own insulation production line. So we can make fibrous insulation. So a big focus of that one is natural materials, it's recycled materials. So it's looking at things like sisal plant or recycled mattresses or recycled leather or hemp to make really, really good sustainable materials which we can then incorporate into other training and building methodologies. The best case studies, I've got loads and loads of information here, but I'm going to go through them pretty quickly just to give you a flavour of what we do, and then if anything sparks interest, I can talk at length about everything. The construction cord is a big one. So this is delivering change across the construction industry in Scotland. It will be leading the way forward in how we improve the industry, productivity, safety, all the buzzwords and all the good things the government wants to progress. So we are helping shape the framework, but then also the working groups that we're influencing what we do and how we do it across the industry. Eden Building Strategy and the draft energy and just transition plan. These are something we're heavily involved in, both submitting projects, plans, again, writing policy and doing that consultation work on behalf of the public sector is a big thing for us. And digital projects, I've started digital, that's my realm. We are working heavily with Scottish building standards. So we're looking at how we digitise planning, digitise compliance is a big one for us. So automating, digitising, using everything from machine learning and AI down to simple digital submission systems is something that we're developing in tandem with them. Again, procurement is another thing as well, and inspection. So there's a whole bunch all the way from on-site, pre-site, post-site, and in construction and after construction and use is all areas we're interested in. Building off-site, up in the top corner there, discovering new way to build homes. We have automated building and automated equipment in the factory, so we can build fully finished wall panels, off-site panels, and build houses, build units, light industrial in here. We have produced a number of homes over time here where people are living in them right now with fancy insulation, fancy wall constructions, or fancy build systems. Accelerating assembly with an industrial robot. So that is a project we're working with a number of different industry partners. Interesting with that was actually two industry competitors. They shared a supply chain, but wanted to gain the benefits of industrial research and academic research, and they wanted the end goal. So it was factory fitting windows using robotic methods. This was a really useful one because they had a whole bunch of different criteria. They couldn't simulate offline. They had to physically pick up the biggest window and door patio set you had, swing it around at high speed, do all the camera vision systems for identifying specific areas, and working out the complexity of a human / robotics and automated production line and the challenges that combining those two together made. It was a really interesting project, and the outcomes of that one have gone straight into recommendations which have been implemented by the clients. Adaptive lighting for concrete structures. So Alex, this is a big one at the moment on the news in terms of RAC and the degradation of concrete and structures. So this is actually using an adaptive lighting rig, which is taking multiple pictures at multiple angles with very, very consistent and accurate lighting systems, and identifying using the machine learning algorithms to find out what's a crack, what is structurally inefficient, and identifying these for existing buildings. And that's a collaboration with Strathclyde University, and a very exciting one, which is gathering, as you can imagine, a lot of interest at the moment. Construction industry beta dashboard down the bottom there, data at fingertips. This is a tool that was developed during and post-COVID to allow government and public sector to have real credible information. We can all go on ChatGPT at the moment, ask any question you want, and it'll give you an answer, but it doesn't always reference its sources. What this does is takes very, very credible sources and allows you to search and ask very, very specific questions. For example, how many females entered engineering in 2006 in the north of Scotland? And it'll give you data. It'll also give you the reference to the data so you can back up whatever information you need, and in a very visual way represent it and draw your own conclusions from it, which is an exciting one. This Learning Hub, we have quite an extensive online learning library now, supported by government. We are able to provide CPD and training sessions free of charge normally, and these are hosted online or in person. But online, we've got a learning management system, and it has loads and loads and loads and loads of learning opportunities in there. So if you're interested or have 20 minutes on a Friday afternoon, worth dropping over there and just seeing what you can find and what you can learn and see what happens. Near homes is a very interesting one. So we have a built prototype in our factory here, and it is a model of a retrofit installation inside an existing building. So during COVID, we were working with Transport Scotland, and we're looking at avoiding the risks of everyone packing onto trains during a global pandemic, getting back to a centre of town and spreading whatever is in the air. So it's looking at local or near home working, and it's looking at the opportunity to leverage empty shopping units, empty post offices or high street units, and designing a system that can be built internally and then taken down again and moved whenever you wanted to do it. So it considered everything from natural lighting simulations, controlled access, every sort of IoT suite imagiable, and making this a really nice place that you could go locally to work, which I think there's still ambition for. So it's still, you can go for meetings, you can go for a breakout from your own home office, and it's a really useful tool. So this has been commercialized by one of our partner organizations and is actually out there as well. There's a bit of a comparison done between this one, a porta-cabin, and a traditional retrofit of a solution, and it was over the 3-year plan about 5 times cheaper than the porta-cabin option, but with much higher standards at the end of the day. It was slightly more expensive than just standard retrofit of that building, but the client needed to move this resource around and needed a training centre that was going to be placed at multiple locations. So this was ideal for that one. Gen Zero, so this is one we've worked on during COP26. In fact, we produced the demonstrator for the classrooms that were developed for the Department for Education in England. This would be the system that's gone ahead for all new build schools in England so far. And we built a whole classroom inside our building, including, I think, about 30 full-grown mature trees to show that connection with landscape, with nature and indoor-outdoor learning. And that was using mass timber. So we do lots and lots of work through our Transforming Timber program, and that's using Scottish and homegrown English timbers to create solid mass timber. So creating CLT, creating glue-lams, creating NLT, CNLT, and all these different acronyms meaning big, solid, chunky bits of wood to create modular houses, create panelized systems, and to create natural, breathable, sustainable buildings. And down the bottom there, there's an example of European work that we do. So there's an Interreg project looking at the adoption of exoskeletons. This was with 13 partners across Europe. What was really interesting for us on this one was that we were the only partner that took the exoskeletons out to the industry users, the end users. Every other partner in that one did a university lab-based study we actually worked with roofers, we worked with joiners, plasterers, we went up scaffolds, we went into forklifts, went into different manufacturing processes and machine tending, actually to see how those were used. We were agnostic in what suits we used, and the recommendations were purely based on both feedback from the user, but then also we had data capture points. So we were motion capturing the users, meaning that we could actually track in real time degradation in their work or deterioration in their speed doing the job or their posture as it degraded over time, which means that in this use, exoskeletons weren't making you stronger, they were just allowing you to do the same job for longer and safer, to the benefit of both the employer and the user at the end of the day. Off the back of this work, it's actually, we've come full circle with the health and safety executive who many years ago discarded the ideas of exoskeletons and were very against them. They again have opened up their interest as a crucial piece of PPE for very specific elements. Part of that project was identifying again where they were useful and where they weren't useful, and making that quite clear and the recommendations. So low carbon learning, next gen up the top, is a project of training. The Scottish Government is moving to a Pacif House equivalent standard for all new build homes. Pacif House is a big buzzword, but we find that actually lots of people don't know what it means or have a very superficial understanding of what it means. So we've initially started looking at a training course and module, and you can be a Pacif House certified designer. There's lots of online design tools, but there's very little available at the time for practical training for those who are installing it. And everyone was telling us, we've done a Pacif House. The first one was terrible. We wrote it off. By the time we got to the second house, it was slightly better. But there must be a better way than that. You can't write off an entire house every time you do it. So we looked at actually, with installers, how airtight's a building, taping membranes, penetrations and airflow, everything like that. We can teach them how to do that, and that would instantly catapult that manufacturer into a higher realm of deliverables. What we found was the uptake for that course actually reached both the installers, but then the managers, and then the clients, and then the public sector and the colleges, and everyone was actually interested in doing these practical application of the ideas of the Pacif House standards, so they can get to grips with it. Once you've done it once, it's much easier to understand rather than lines in a 2D drawing or reading it from a book. So that's been a very successful story. And what was originally meant to be maybe 3 or 4 months of a project is actually now spanning about 2 years, and we continue to develop and add more and more modules to the course, including retrofit situations in traditional buildings as well. So I'm wrapping up here. Is a return to Bestfest next week. I really would say, if you are in the region, if you're anywhere in the central belt of Scotland or north of England, do make it a stop. Please come up and see us, say hi. We will be working with the guys from WikiHouse, who will be doing a live build. We will show you the systems. They're going to tell you more about this in a second, but they'll be showing you their systems, and then we'll build up a whole structure, a whole frame together during that day. But there's also loads of other workshops, loads of chats, and yeah, loads of interest for the day. So, as I say, that was a real whistle-stop tour of both Best, a little bit of interaction with WikiHouse, some of our past projects, and some hopes for the future. If there's anything that sparked your interest there, drop me a line. That's my email address. The QR code there will take you back to our website at Best, where there's the whole host of information. It's got all of the case studies, or lots of case studies and past projects, learning materials, and just further reading for you if you're interested. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing more. Any questions or any follow-ups? Thanks again.
That's just a massive amounts of work that you guys are doing at Best, and we're very, very pleased to have you as partners. You are part of our registered manufacturers that people can find on our website. And you've got a just amazing facility. I've been able to visit it a couple of times. And like you said, we are going to be there next week building with Wicky House. So if anybody's interested, I think there's still places available on the day. I just wanted to ask, because I noticed the photos of the people assembling with the Wicky House blocks, and there's quite a broad range. There's very young people, and then there's like, like school children almost, and there's like older people as well. And I'm really interested in knowing how people experience it, especially because you don't give them instructions, you just kind of let them get on with it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting social experiment, as you wish. You experience yourself. The teams, when we've asked them to do this, the kind of build challenge with the blocks and the components, some people get it really quickly. And this isn't defined by age or gender or even the occupation. Some people's minds just work in 3D and can just fit things together and problem solve, and other people don't get it. So people often get it in 1 or 2 minutes. Other people might take up to 20 minutes to do the same task, and that's really interesting. And we do work together with these workshops to see what people's skills are, and then a team that works very fast next time can help some of the other teams that haven't actually managed to get that trick or put it together. But yeah, we do see it, and as I say, it doesn't split along any sort of divides. We have engineers who typically are generally better at understanding things, but some still struggle. We get loads of construction professionals, and we do work. We work with everyone from people in the tools and the trades all the way up to CEOs in these courses and company owners that probably haven't lifted a hammer for the past 20, 30 years. And we get them hands-on building these things. And it's amazing to find out. But yeah, we also have all the way down to school kids. And again, the attitudes, some people dive straight into it, some like hang back. And that dynamic's interesting as well. We used to run a slightly different version where we actually used some AR goggles. So we used the HoloLens, the Microsoft HoloLens, and they could actually see a heads-up display in real time tagged to where the building was. So they were almost like the site manager, and they were trying to direct people so no one else could see what it was, and they were directing people where to go and how to understand. And that was introduced after we established at an early stage whose brain worked in that way and who would be in a good role to lead that job. So that was an interesting use of technology as well, which was fun to see.
Yeah, that's amazing. And like, did you mention to me a while ago that you guys had been able to travel around Scotland with those blocks as well?
Absolutely, we've taken them out. The nature of the flat pack nature of Wicky House is perfect for that. So we regularly attend workshops. We do big conferences. We do down in London at the Excel and the biggest arenas at construction weeks and things, and we can flat pack them, take them in the back of a van and take them out. So they've literally been all the way down. I think London was probably the lowest, but they've been all the way to the north of Scotland and in fact onto the islands at the very, very north of Scotland. So they have travelled with us in several stages and several guises all the way through across the country.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I'm going to hand over to Gabriel in a second, but I just had one more question about insulation, because you've mentioned this big work you're doing with different kinds of insulation. You talked about natural materials and recycled materials. So I just wanted to hear a little bit more about that, because obviously we're trying to find, what's the most sustainable insulation for our blocks. And you guys, I've seen the table fill of like with different kinds of insulation that you have over there. So what kind of work are you doing on that?
Yeah, so there's actually some really exciting work there. We're working with several partners in creating an insulation hub, and it's looking at these natural materials. So I mentioned briefly, we've done quite extensive work with sisal. So that's a plant fiber. That's your kind of scratchy scout rope, if anyone remembers, kind of sisal rope. That is a plant source which is cut down, made into small strands, which can then be air laid into a table and then bound together to give you an insulation. So we're not using glues, so it can be recycled at the end as well. The same process is applied to hemp, and there's one of my colleagues is working on a European-wide project which is looking at hemp growers across the country, across Europe, and using that natural resource to create a really, really sustainable building material. We also do lots of work with wood fiber insulations as well. A big focus for us is the timber, Scottish timber, but also building from England's woodlands as well as a project we have running. And that natural breathable wall with the timber structure pairs very, very nicely with wood fiber insulation, allowing you movement of air and moisture through the wall where appropriate. So that's a great one for us as well. Working with the partners we do, we have a unique opportunity to reach out across. Very often the asset owner is also maintaining it. They're also building new. I'm thinking about public sector and social housing here. We have one particular project, an idea running in the background, and that's using recycled cleaning materials, which they use in terms of mop heads and handles. And they use these to clean their properties, which we're then going to turn into insulation, which is going to go back into their new build houses, which again is a whole big circular idea. We're taking materials which would be burnt or landfilled and much often, and taking them in, turning them into both sustainable but also a new income generation. A great example for that one is the shavings from leather. So in the leather process, they shave the hides. That is burnt at the end of the day, but those kind of bristles are actually very, very efficient at an insulation quality, an insulation product. So rather than paying to dispose of them, create an income stream and create a very high-end bespoke product at the end of the day.
Wow, that's amazing. That's so amazing, all the stuff that's happening with insulation. I know we've just touched on materials, and I know Gabri wants to talk a little bit about some work we're doing on this OSB, especially because we're trying to use materials that are local. So you were talking about British woodlands. So I'm just going to hand over to you, Gabri, now.
Yeah, thanks, Mel. Yeah, so basically lately we've just swapped OSB to plywood as a main construction material for WikiHouse. We recently done some testing with our partners at the Imperial College London, which we're going to link the video for who of you are interested. But I was just curious to hear your thoughts on that, Matthew. I know you've been cutting some OSB sheets for the WikiHouse demonstration that we're going to run at the Bestfest. And yeah, have you worked with OSB before? And how was your experience working with OSB for WikiHouse?
Yeah, it was nice to work with, actually. We have in the past done lots of work with plywood. So obviously the material beforehand was based on a ply method, and often before current world politics got involved, a lot of that was shipped in from Russia, which is obviously something that we're not allowed to at the moment, and obviously there's those air mills, that traveling is not great for CO2 and climate change anyway. So the move to Norboard and OSB, which is produced in Scotland, is actually a great move for us because it means there's less mileage, there's less transport. It's using UK-based materials to produce it, so that's fantastic. In terms of production, it runs through the machine, probably slightly faster. It gives a really clean cut when you have sharp tools, so it gives a really good end finish. It's slightly lighter, in fact, when you're moving elements about, and yeah, has the same qualities as the plywood, kind of generally speaking, without the technical details. But yeah, no, it's been really good. I think it's a good move, and actually, since you've done the testing as well, it's great reassurance to know that is a product we can move to.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Matthew. Over to you, Mel, if you have any other
questions. No, I was just finally to say, so Gabri, Matthew, Amber, Alistair, and I will be at Bestfest building WikiHouse, building a WikiHouse structure. So if you want to meet us and join in the fun, please do come. We'll put the links at the bottom of the video. We are very, very excited. We've got the blocks cut, but we'll be doing all the assembly process next week, and we'll teach you how to do it basically in the afternoon session. So please do come. Matthew, thank you so much for your time and for your presentation. I know you've gone through a lot of the work that's happening at Best, and as you said, your email address is available if anybody has got any questions. Just go to best.build if you want to know more about all the work that's happening there. Follow these guys on Instagram, LinkedIn, all the usual channels, they're there, and they're doing some really amazing work, not just in Scotland, in the UK, and we've also seen internationally. So yeah, thank you again, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.